On this episode of Dad Mods, we show you how to build a simple workbench.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Dad Mods. Today,
we're gonna be building some workbenches.
Yep.
Like these.
So we've got Bob Vila here to help us with the assembly. He's the know-how.
And Danny DeVito.
Can I offer you a nice egg in this trying time?
All right, so what we're gonna be doing is building very, very basic workbenches. Not the most basic, but pretty basic. And you can actually use these as an example of kind of what we're trying to build. Slightly different than the both of them.
Yep, the one we're gonna build is gonna have a divider in the middle on the bottom here with some shelving on one side and an opening on the other. It's all preference. It's customizable.
So we're gonna start cutting some wood up and draw up some plans on how to build this thing and taking you guys with. Okay, so now we're at the point of building a pair of frames. So it's easier if you can build a couple of frames to support the top and support the bottom, where the 4x4s will actually attach to it. So where you're looking at the existing benches, you can see, and here's the thing, this is gonna look ever so slightly different because these workbenches are a little different, and I'll show you guys later on. They're different in a few regards to what we're building now, but it's a very similar principle. So what you have is you create kind of a rectangular frame, and that's going to sit on the inside of it, and through that you're going to fasten it to the 4x4s. So that's what we're going to do, is build that frame, and it's a good idea to do it on a flat surface, because if you don't work from a flat surface to begin with, there's a chance that you're fastening things that are going to be a little twisted up. First things first, we're going to start building our frames. So our two outers. Make sure to remove any stickers and any tacks, any staples. It's not uncommon for your lumber yard to attach staples with tags on them so that they can ring it up at the cash register. So you'll just want to double check, because if you end up with a staple on the bottom side of this, guess what just happened? It just raised your board the height of that staple, however much is sticking out, and suddenly it's a little twisted up. We're gonna run our fasteners through here. Some people have really nice setups at home where you already have like corner vices, but you're probably not watching this video on how to build a workbench if you have something like that, unless you're just looking for something to criticize. So, just repeat your process, and then we're ready to move on to the next part. Let's cut some 4x4s.
At this point, we have everything kind of framed in, and we need to cut our 4x4s for the legs. Once that's done, we can essentially start fastening this all together.
The flattest thing that we have in here, because our shop floor just isn't that flat, is actually the top itself. MDF, when it's this thick, doesn't have a whole lot of give to it. So we're gonna build off of that piece, and that's what we did on the other workbenches, and it worked out perfectly. So use a level. Don't use one of those little itty bitty ones. They're not gonna cut it for something like this. We start with that, we make sure that our base is level. Next step is that we're going to take the frame, and I think we're gonna start by attaching this to the underside of the top. That way this thing is perfectly fixed to it, and then we'll take levels and we'll start working on attaching the legs to both the top as well as the frame that's underneath here. And I think we decided we're gonna put some gussets into it too to just tie it together even a little bit better, and it'll add kind of a nice look to the sides of it because you'll have these gusseted pieces. Not that you're gonna see the sides a whole lot, but you know, why not make it pretty? We've got 3 5/8 on each side, and now comes the funky part of like, well, do you get, what would this be, like 4.5-inch fasteners, or you know, do you countersink? All those kind of questions. Do you go out a toe and then screw in that way? So what we're gonna do is we're going to do a countersinking with it. This is a little bit trickier because you kind of have to have a gauge of how deep you're going with each piece of it, so that you don't actually end up bursting through the top of the bench top. So you can also pick up brackets. There's tons of little L brackets with a stamp in them that are very rigid. And honestly, that's probably what I'd encourage a lot of the novices to do, because it's a piece of cake, because then you've got a little L bracket here, fastener there. Do like 6 of them all around on the bench, and this thing will never budge. It'll be just fine. What we're gonna do, because we're cheap, we're trying to do this as cheaply as possible, and we've done this a few times. I'm actually gonna run this really long 1/8 inch drill bit down, and then I'm gonna hit this, the bench top, and then I'm gonna take a larger drill bit, and I'm gonna drill down just a tiny bit until I know that it's gone far enough down that the head of this fastener will go down into that pocket and then bite into the bench top. Nice and solid. So let's attach some legs. I think that's pretty good. I think this is gonna work. And then before we put any other fasteners in, it's important to just double check everything, because it will pull it. Funny if you look at one and I look at the other. So like shoot between them. That looks so stupid.
We already looked pretty stupid.
True. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a built workbench. It's workable. It's very bench-like. You guys are looking at the front of it. If we were smarter, we would have made sure that the stamping
on the inside.
is on the inside. But it's fine. this is gonna get used and abused, so really,
okay.
This is the nicest it's ever going to look. It's mostly done, so we have one thing left.
Yeah, we need to rip this guy, so that way it can go in as the bottom shelf.
Yep, and that is 1/2 inch, was it BCX? Yep. 1/2 inch, kind of that middle grade plywood, and so we're just gonna rip that, fit that on there, and then the remainder of it, we're gonna try and make some shelving to go a little bit higher up in here so we can fit a few more things.
A little extra storage.
Yep. So we're gonna take this outside, and we're actually going to use a 1x8 as a rip fence. If anybody's ever tried to use a circular saw to cut a straight piece without any kind of fence to kind of keep it in place, it's awful. It sucks, yeah. Even the steadiest of hands, you're still gonna see a little bit of deviation in that. Or, deviation's the right word. It's just not gonna be perfectly straight.
No, so a 1x8 will give us a nice straight edge to follow, making it somewhat perfect.
Yeah, so I have already ripped a 3/4 inch 4x8 sheet that's going to be used for the next part of this video. And what I did was I used that 1x8 and it ripped it perfectly. I measured it the whole way, and there is a 1/16 of an inch difference between the spots. So that's the worst that it gets.
That's nothing.
That's kind of ideal. I mean, even from a sawmill, you might get that too. So it's pretty good. We're going to use that for this 1/4 inch piece and haul that outside. So let's cut this thing.
Yeah.
Yep. You can tell we need to clean up here.
Clumsy.
Fasten down in a few spots, and then
start to figure out the other shelf.
Yeah, get that midpoint figured out. All right. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
That's how you make a workbench.
So, just to recap, all that this was built using was a compound miter saw.
Couple cordless drills, impacts.
Yep, cordless drill and cordless impact, which, I mean, there are varying degrees of these things, but I mean, even the cheap ones now are really good. The compound miter saw is a little bit more expensive, but I mean, even the miter saw, you can honestly get by with a miter box and a hacksaw. It's gonna take forever and your arms are gonna be really sore, but you can do it. Those are very cheap. Compound miter saw, between 100 and 200 bucks.
Yep, depending on
this size.
how big a cut you want to be able to make and all that.
Exactly. And then the rest of it is just have a good level and a tape measure, some sawhorses, and then you can crank this thing out. And in total, how much did you spend on this?
After sales tax, about 85 bucks, including fasteners.
Nice. Yep. So, kind of a bargain, and it's custom made.
Yep.
You know, you build it yourself, and you build it exactly to how you need it. I'm sure there's plenty of you that would do this a little bit differently than we did. We decided to build it the way that we did because this is to meet Donnie's needs in his shop, and
I
Keep it simple.
should be able to finally get all my box tools stored away properly. I have a fastener bin similar to what you have, so I have an area for that now.
Yeah, exactly.
And the main thing is this thing is sturdy, which you guys will see my current setup.
Yeah, because we're going to be bringing this over a little bit later to install, and you'll see the a little bit of the deconstruction we'll have to do over there too.
It should come apart really easily now.
Yep.
And this will free up extra shop space too. So my current workbench is very narrow, and because of that, it's also very long. Well, now I kind of smushed everything together and have more floor space.
Yeah, very good point. So, you guys, if you care to stick around with the video, that'll be all towards the end of it. The next thing that we're going to be tackling is building a cabinet slash workbench, worktop. So we're going to tackle that next. Yep, we're going to build it off of this because we know that this is square. Should we do this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do this.
Back up in your ass with the resolution.